Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Brightworks and another match of Beyond All Reason, where today we are taking a look at an 8 versus 8 game that's played on a very uncommon map, a map that goes by the name of Melting Glaciers. We'll take a look around here in just a second, but we may as well also meet our blue team leader spawning right in the front of us here as an Armada commander, a commander that goes by the name of Tony Tripleshot. And this game going to be playing with 19 open skill. Now, I don't know if something is wrong with the open skill. I could have swore we casted a game with Tony Tripleshot a little while ago, and the OS was a little higher. Maybe playing a little on the ladder and starting to get smoked by some Legion units. I've noticed a lot of those Legion lobbies are up and running, or maybe there was a little bit of a glitch with the OS. But anyways, here. I noticed that a lot of these commanders are low OS, but high Chevron count. So I feel like this match might actually be a bit higher skill than I imagined it would when I was looking at it, just on paper anyways. But I'm definitely curious to see what these commanders can come up with on this very, very unconventional map. Now, spawning on the other side here is the red team leader, also as an Armada commander. It's going to be none other than Username Crisis. Username Crisis clocking in at 18 open skill, so 1 below the red commander, but also 3 chevrons, as opposed to, I guess this would be 5 chevrons? Yeah, that's 4. So I guess this would be 5. Yeah, 4 chevron up against, or 3 chevron up against 5 chevron. It all gets very confusing, but suffice it to say here, this is going to be an interesting game nonetheless, and the more random the map is, the more different and, unique or out there or unplayed it is, the greater of an equalizer it can be. So I would definitely say that this match is fair and balanced between these two teams, as we do have some good old-fashioned Armada boats hitting the water. Okay, let's take a look at this map, shall we? Oh, Melting Glaciers. What a bizarro map. It has a bunch of different little run-by paths. You can see all around right here. Let me turn this back on so you can see it's got these run-by paths up the sides of these mountains, of course. It has this big open fighting terrain in the midsection right here, blocked off by these big holes, big divots in the ground where you cannot get units other than, well, I suppose you could put rocket spiders or any all-terrain units in there, but otherwise no other units are going to be able to get in there. It's got this big old walkway down here as well. There's a bunch of different pathways to get down here, and then there's this big open area on the top with a bunch of metal extractors to contest. What a weird map. What a really, really genuinely weird map, and it's cool to see that we've got some interesting strategies coming up here. A green commander here, Gaming with BKTTV, has gone ahead and gone for an air constructor and sent it out on the map. Looks like a couple of ticks from the brown comm. Tigrid here will manage to shut that down, or at least the buildings that were being built right there. Tigrid has marched forward here after spawning in the water and just marching straight forward into a couple of mexes and a lab, and of course those wind turbines for power, because wind speed is tremendous. Now this is, I believe, conventionally a free-for-all map. So what does that mean? Well, it means that we're expected to see high wind speeds. Almost sounds like a weather report, doesn't it? Expect medium to high wind speeds with a turbine speed of 25 locked and loaded for those tidal generators out there among you. And I hope you all enjoy watching some Armada gaming, because Armada is going to be very, very strong on this map. As you can see, the yellow and brown commanders going already into a whole bunch of those Armada units as well. Ender, LM, Tony Tripleshot, and Censored Lol. As well as water consumer is core, actually. Okay, so the consumer of water will be having some good old-fashioned core bots out and running. Everybody else on the island, at least right now. Never mind that. Captain here on the southern side. The Maroon Commander are going to be going into some core bots here as well. So, every piece has their pair. The Cyan Commander going up against the Maroon as well on the southern side. Sort of, not conventionally anyways. Not in a, any well-defined lane or meta or matrix. It is just making it up as you go along. And sometimes it's the most fun to watch. A gunboat here does go down. The first significant kill of the game right here is this gunboat falls, and that does deny any scouting as well as damage that the purple commander was hoping to do. A bunch of these missile corvettes have been produced here, but no frigates on the front lines yet. NT Guardian will eventually get those up and running, but this is a very low metal map for an 8v8 actually, all things considered. Like, you don't have that many expansions, or I should say that some of the commanders don't have very many expansions. Some commanders do. Like Captain, for instance, has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6... 7, 8 metal extractors, which is at 2 apiece, 16 metal per second. Going back to that lab, not even accounting for all this stuff that was in the water as well. Another, 6 or so metal on top of all that. You really can't have a rock-solid economy if you get on top of all this, but also, it means that your backliners don't have much of an economy at all. Like, the naval player here, a Username Crisis, is just going into E-converter economy. At 25 energy per turbine, I think that probably makes a lot of sense here. Max Chaos in a little bit of trouble. Oh, that's a nice catch right there. Yeah, a bunch of those pawns run forward, and they'll find the constructor. They're also going to snag the metal extractor and the reinforcing pawns that were coming out to help all this. No mexes have been built on this low ground yet, so I think these pawns are effectively done trading here. And all said and done, I think just killing that constructor is a big enough trade. Max Chaos trying to lock this area down, but Rocketeers are already up and running, firing away at those LLTs, and they're not going to be holding out much longer, those laser turrets, that is. It's going to be Dolphins here, coming out from Mr. Spartan, the Seafoam Green Commander in the water here for the blue team, and making his way towards the northern side of the southern part of this map here. Now finds the base of Hungover I Am. The Hot Pink Commander, who is now in a ton of trouble as these Dolphins fire away. Interesting little tidbit of information about the Dolphin. We listen to these guys firing away into the distance. They're one of those Armada units that has some weird alignment quirks. Basically, Dolphins choose to fire based on their center point, and so it means that they will friendly fire each other quite badly if they're bundled up. So it's really, really important that you're constantly splitting Dolphins up. The other thing is that their turrets are on the same level, so they can't shoot past each other. So when Dolphins are facing the enemy directly or retreating directly from the enemy, they're going to be getting way less value for their twin gun turrets. Means you have to be a little bit careful about it, because obviously, yeah, if you have... Well, say you have a big army of Dolphins, just mismicroing those Dolphins can be enough to completely ruin your odds of winning that engagement. Army goes down over here. Looks like the Cyan Commander goes down as well. Those thugs trading very effectively here against the Cyan Commander Water Consumer, who will go to a watery grave nonetheless, as, yeah, all of a sudden this commander has gone to smithereens. A single aggravator up and running, trying to blast down the LLT. I don't think that's going to happen, though. The Thug to reinforce as well, and the LLT will be wonderful for shutting down a bunch of this spam coming forward. I think Captain can move forward confidently here to claim the 1,000 medal prize, lying just feet before him. Needs to get some wind turbines up and running. My goodness, we've gone into a solar economy on a map where wind speed will basically always be efficient. It is 6 for Cortex to be efficient, and the minimum wind speed here is 5. And the majority wind speed here is 28, or pardon me, 25. So that does mean that wind speed will eventually cap out at some point here as well. It means wind is a no-brainer for sure. You're going to want to go into wind. Any map that has a wind speed of 25 is going to be well worth going into. You're also going to want to throw in, of course, a couple of those good old-fashioned energy banks, the batteries. Shuriken's a cheeky play right here. Do we fire a D-gun or do we hold off on the disintegrator cannon? Looks like the answer will be, oh, okay. We let one loose, but we don't have enough energy to really sustain it. Well, that commander's in trouble. Boom goes the Maroon Commander, and a brutal counterattack right there from two commanders as the Green and Cyan forces push forward, and the Pawns overwhelm the commander. The Thugs weren't quite out on the field, and the Grunt production was just too slow, and all of a sudden the Maroon Commander is left without power. Man, the lack of wind turbines here is really killing Captain on the southern side. Brutal to see. Meanwhile, we've got a big army of Rocketeers. They're hesitant to trade out, it seems, against these yellow Rocketeers. Not confident that they could win the fight here. Very strange terrain, and that always throws a wrench into any plan, right? Accounting for that terrain is a skill in Beyond All Reason, and not one that you really manufacture if you don't play outside of the All That Glitters and Supreme Isthmus Theater. One of those very strange things about Beyond All Reason, or at least the community of Beyond All Reason, it is distinctly divided between essentially two camps of folks: the ones who play Rotato and the ones who play Supreme Isthmus / All That Glitters. It's kind of one of those weird things. You know, it reminds me of the good old-fashioned CSGO 2 days where, what was that? Was it Dust 2, I want to say, was the name of that map that was just far and away more popular than literally every other single map. Supreme Isthmus and All That Glitters have earned their place as all-time fan favorites, but it definitely means that when you're thrown into a loop like this, playing in a match where you have to improvise, well, things get really complicated really quickly. Shuriken here taking some heavy hits as this static defense does fire away, but once it's paralyzed, it can't really do all too much afterwards. Now the Grunts are moving forward, taking a decent trade. Rocketeers able to fire a little more effectively here as well. Fighter does eventually sweep over here. It's just a single Falcon. Eventually another one or two reinforces. Defensive fighters are in position to shoot all this down, though. A turret. Oh, it doesn't get stunned. Okay, yeah, these units are forced back at this point. Little counterattack right here from the Brown Commander, Tigrid, as well as, oh gosh, ILLXRPLLI. Okay, the Orange Commander. Apparently, making these very difficult for me. We're gonna go with the Orange Commander. Look at this little aggression right here from the Blue Commander, by the way. Taking the units on a little bit of a detour, forcing them around this side into the yellow production. That's actually a much shorter rush distance, right? From this to this, essentially, is a way shorter distance than if you're trying to come all the way out to here. I like that play a lot for the blue commander, keeping the yellow comm on their toes. We have the HLT up and running as well, going to be firing away into the distance. Ender LM taking a bunch of damage from that beamer turret, though. My goodness. Down to 42% HP. Naval battle on the southern side here as well. Bunch of frigates firing away. This actually, well, the destroyer count was looking nice just a second ago here for the red team, but all these units were under different flags. If these had been consolidated to a single commander, say passing all these units to the pink, orange, or red commander alone, this would have looked lovely. And you can see the purple commander kind of doing that here. With only one commander controlling all these units, they can take a, you know, a 5, 6, 7, 8 versus 1 fight multiple times, and that's always going to net you an advantage. We just need a res sub here. Even getting the constructor to go reclaim all this would be wonderful, just to fuel that production a little bit more. The more you can reclaim, the more you can produce, and the more you produce, the easier it's going to be to capture the next round of reclaim. Every little bit does help. Yeah, constructor headed out here from the red commander. Oh, also going to build torpedo launchers. Never mind. I was hoping we'd see some reclaim right here. That's one way, one easy way to get back into a game like this, is just reclaiming a whole bunch. Not going to be the strategy of choice here for either of these teams. It's a little bit strange. I like to play with the frigates here. I mean, they do so much damage, and especially the Riptides. They can be on the move and doing a bunch of damage all at the same time. We just need to see some focus firing, and they will take down that pink destroyer there. Another frigate and the submarine in jeopardy as the destroyers fire away. Where are the res subs? I could have sworn I saw one earlier, but it doesn't look like there is any up and running now. Build turret is, oh no, moments from completion. There we go. Build turret will come up and running. Hopefully we see some static, ooh, HLT. I think a twin guard makes a lot of sense. The orange commander, oh, with the killer lineup right here. Fires off the D-gun, killing a ton of units and not going to kill the twin guard for some reason. Okay. Little bit of a strange choice right there from the orange commander here. The, yeah, the orange commander. But well, nonetheless here, blasting down that agitator still buys tons of time, right? Losing thousands of metal and agitators as well as all those thugs that were on the front here. These are not super cheap. But 140 metal a pop, and I think about 5 of them went down. You're talking about 600 to 700 metal. Nice here as well for the blue commander. I think this trade has been relatively efficient units-wise, but Max Chaos is reclaiming from this front line. The blue commander is not. There's no res sub or res bots anywhere. Max Chaos is just very low. Ooh, 3%, 4%. For reference, mace shots do about 1.5% damage to a commander, so it only takes about 3 shots here to kill this comm. So close. Boom goes the yellow commander. Nicely done. Yeah, I think the blue comm here, Tony triple shot, did sense that commander was on its last legs. Obviously, you cannot see the HP bar of a commander. It's one of the best features about commanders is they can hide their HP. But yeah, that's a lovely snap right there. Now, there's the res bots. Yeah, they're headed out there to reclaim all that. Nearly 6,000 metal on the front line right here. My goodness, the blue commander could easily go into T2 with this amount of wind production and that amount of reclaim. You could easily go into T2. You might even be able to get a fusion reactor or something exceptionally greedy off, just for the fact that there's so much metal available, and there's basically no way for the enemy commander to contest all this. There's still a decent front line of units. There's still plenty of, well, there was shurikens to support. The fighters have mostly cleared those up. It's going to be Mass Centurion from the yellow commander, just trying to keep these alive and keep them trading out, but the thugs do so, or the maces rather, do so much damage. Yeah, we need a repair micro to keep all this alive right now. That first Centurion, that Centurion right here going down really hurts, because that, if it had been alive, would have allowed this other Centurion to get a decent surround at this point. There's a Centurion in the back line. Making the yellow commander very uncomfortable. Okay, I like it. I like the aggression here from the blue commander. At the very least, getting in the face of the yellow comm. There we go. We do have some blue units headed out now. Did we go for a T2 lab? We sure did. Yeah, T2 lab is up and running. I believe these were handed over, these T2 units. I'm not sure where from. Probably here. The green commander going for good old-fashioned T2. And that welder is going to be soaking up a whole bunch of damage while the thugs and or the maces and the hounds fire away here. Resbots pulled to the front after their after their reclamation mission, and going to be used as a little bit of HP building, repairing those hounds up to full health and allowing them to fight a little bit longer on the front line. Mace Hound might seem a little unconventional, but it is very effective. The maces have tons and tons of HP, and the hounds, of course, have that range. They do tons of damage as well, so if you can fight any kind of building or units that are relatively slow, like constructors, of course, the hounds are going to have a wonderful time. And there we go. Laboratory does fall. Oh, there we go. Yellow Commander's laboratory does fall, and all of a sudden we're in a very tricky situation. Painfully Sweet is in a weird spot now where the destroyers are firing away. The mass submarine army here for the Cyan Commander, or for the Powder Blue Commander rather, is going to be pushed back quite easily. Once you get 2 or 3 destroyers, submarines really can't touch you unless they have tremendous numbers. It just isn't efficient. Frigates and destroyers breaking through on the southern side as well. We have still not reclaimed most of this wreckage field over here. My goodness, 2 res subs cleans this up in about a minute and a half. Looks like those jellyfish, the coastal torpedo launchers, have done a wonderful job. Yeah, look at them tearing apart these destroyers over here. Why are we throwing these away? Oh, no. Okay. Alright. It's a learner's match. It's a learner's match. Remember that, Brightworks. Gotta chill out a little bit. Agitators. Aggravators being agitated by the Cyan Commander, who has rebuilt that static defense, by the way. This is the second agitator that has been put on this spot. Built on the grave, the disintegrated grave of a once beautiful-looking agitator. Hounds continuing to fire away, getting some real value here, actually. 17 kills between the two of them, firing away into the distance. There we go, kills a resbot, that's always nice. Yeah, I like that a lot. Just a couple of those hounds is really all it takes to get a ton of value on the front line. They do stupid damage, and they have tons of range, so they're essentially your toolkit for bashing down these T1 static defenses without giving the opponent the opportunity to trade those static defenses out efficiently against your units. Ultimately, every static defense you build is a gamble of whether it will trade off efficiently against enemy units or whether they will find a way to counter it before it trades off efficiently. In Beyond All Reason, it is heavily skewed towards units, though. Very, very significantly skewed towards units. You are much better off building units in static defense in, I'd say, 80% of cases. And this is why, right? Most units outrange most static defenses. Like, every siege unit of the tech higher than the current tech of the static defense will outrange the static defenses. So the HLTs, the MLTs, the beamers, and the, well, of course, the light laser turrets, which are even outranged by some T1 units. Shuriken coming in. I love the continued use of the Shuriken here. They're so pesky, but they do make these trades a little bit more efficient. And a little bit more efficient adds up so quickly over time. Resbot's still going to town here as well, which I love for the Blue Commander, who is just going into more and more production. We have Platypus actually being built right here. It's sent up to this northern side, which is cool to see. It looks like a bundle of submarines will be firing away at this destroyer. Okay, with the near-perfect surround, I'll grant that the submarines have a decent shot. There we go. All right. These Cortex submarines, quite a bit tankier than the Armada ones. Wow, how did this go so sour? My goodness, those T2 boats have completely turned it around down here, haven't they? Lightning ships being thrown into the fray here, wasted as they float to the bottom of the ocean. Sink, rather, to the bottom of the ocean. One of those Brimstone has been built here, but the Maelstrom are rolling out of the lab. Why are we just throwing these away? Why are we wasting our boats? I don't get it. Not entirely sure what the plan is here for these lightning boats, but I think at this point the blue Navy is kind of crumbled. If we just check really quickly. Oh, it's nearly 10,000 metal. My goodness. That is a little over half of a capital ship, in case you were curious. Capital ships are about 17,000 metal, I do believe. Let's see. Yeah, Brightworks knows his stuff. 17,000 metal for a capital ship means if you ate all this up and just started a capital ship, you could pay for it. You could afford it. Because your production, once you get to T2, you'll produce 7,000 metal by the time you spend 10,000 metal. Unless you have some ridiculous build power scaling, but assuming that's under check, you're going to be in a really great way. I am just shocked and disturbed to see the lack of res subs. We do actually have some. They're just being used to repair or resurrect a commander over here rather than being used to reclaim this wreckage field. Again, it's not the end of the world. It's not the most egregious thing I've ever seen. But it's an easy ticket out of this Navy game. Or rather, an easy ticket into winning this Navy game. Gosh, these Shuriken are pesky. Alright. Well, 2 seconds ago, I would have given it to the red team here for having a Navy that could steamroll through the opposing forces here, the purple and the seafoam green. Those Shuriken have completely changed this tide. Yeah, all of a sudden these flamethrower boats are going to find huge value. Those destroyers still do tons of damage, even against T2. But now the Maelstroms just have a near-perfect surround, and that means that these destroyers are going to melt pretty quickly. Yeah, you can see those don't last very long, do they? Painfully Sweet is trying to blockade off this area, rebuild those metal extractors. We do have a couple of platypus headed towards the back line. Do we have any scouting of this? No, no scouting whatsoever. So these platypus are going in blind. They They do have their little anti-air missile, which is quite nice whenever they can find planes to fire away at. The roughneck gunships are spotted here, which is a really important scout, actually. It's important to know how the enemy might try and harass you from the air. Yeah, look at these fighters coming in. Lovely reaction from the air player. Gotta give credit to the green commander here for shooting down these gunships before they find any value. Hey, I'll take it. This is the kind of airplay that most commanders won't see, but it's the kind of thing that saves your team later on when all of a sudden you don't really have a way to... You're going on an attack, and otherwise it would be countered because the enemy had the units to shut it down. And in this case, they didn't, because the commander traded out so phenomenally here against all those gunships. I love to see it. You know what else is nice, though? Having complete unilateral control over the entire midsection of the map, encompassing hundreds of metal worth of metal production. If you're counting T2, Tony Tripleshot has got to be pretty pleased with the way that this is looking at the moment. Platypus are being built, and they're being sent out here. We're going for a little bit of a high ground expansion as the blue commander produces all over the place, but I think we need these mexes up and running. Yeah, not grabbing these mexes really hurts. This 4.3 looks really enticing as well. T2 mexes are coming up and running, but there's no reason these ones should have been left intact. There's no reason these ones shouldn't be claimed. This is the power of the Butler that I feel like a lot of people underestimate and underappreciate, is that it can build mexes. For an Armada commander, I mean, to be fair, the Twitcher can also build mexes here, so no excuses for those core commanders out there either, but I'm just saying, Butlers are a nearly must-have if you're playing as an Armada commander. You may as well peel one off from your construction core and just go ahead and use it to make metal extractors. It's something like 15 seconds or something like that to put together a metal extractor. It's extremely quick. Rattlesnake will come up here, but yeah, I mean, the tank is dry. We have 0 metal in the bank. We have 42 metal production, right? But a lot of that is going into a bunch of projects all over the place, including a fusion reactor, which I like that we put on the high ground, but I don't think is actually out of range of a lot of this, funny enough. Now goes the blue commander. We do have some static defense in the form of some torpedo launchers up and running right here. Looks like we have a agitator coming up. Okay. Huh. You know what? I like this a lot. All of a sudden, the pink commander has found a stranglehold on the blue production center. The build power here is not going to be sufficient, and we do have res subs to follow all this up. All right. Commander will be reclaimed. Laboratory is destroyed. Fusion reactor is going to be fed by these construction turrets, eating the corpse of the base down here. But yeah, this would be... This is a rough situation right now for the blue team. How are they going to shut this down? T2 is up and running. Ender LM has the resources to deal with this, or has the tools, I should say. Shuriken in the air are quite nice as well. Yeah, these Shuriken have continually gotten value. So much value. Every time one of these Shurikens manages to paralyze a Navy unit, you can think of it as being like 3 times as efficient as paralyzing a land unit. That's how good Navy units are. To keep them completely stunned, especially considering the fact that most Navy units fire plasma, it means that when you're dealing with plasma units, they get 100% accuracy because of the Shuriken, plus the fact that, well, of course, they can't shoot back. Yeah, you're always going to be in a really, really nice spot right there. Submarine does go down, and the destroyers will be sure to follow here. Res sub's actually going to resurrect. I'm a little surprised by that. With the T2 lab up and running, I'm surprised to see a res there because, well, T2 is pretty good. Big old Sheldon ball has been built up right here by the pink commander. It's a matter of will we fire first. We are lining up on this cliffside right here, which is kind of nice, actually. The green units are not paying attention. Too many things on the map. We need to hand off some of these units to our commanders with free APM. Try and offset a bunch of that APM spending. Maybe handing a bunch of these units to the powder blue commander who was knocked out of the naval field. Maybe trying to distribute some of the energy and production bases here. Because otherwise, you end up taking a really unfortunate trade, where most of your units go down to Sheldon without really getting much of a hit in. Dangerous looking Navy on the southern side here for the red team. I will say, this reclaim has finally been cleaned up. I think the blue team must have eaten it because they actually have units after being crippled. Pathfinder's pretty good for that reason. Relatively high build power. The dreadnoughts here firing away quite far, though. Oh, barely managed to take down that other dreadnought, and that is huge. That's a gigantic hit to the damage output right here of this Navy. Yeah, the other battleship's gonna go down too. Wow, look at that. All right. Battleships are, and this is gonna sound crazy, not very tanky. Yeah, they're a unit built for dealing damage, not necessarily one that can dish it out. In relation, anyways, to how much damage they do, they really can't take much damage at all. Okay. We are choosing to throw away our own battleships here, though. That's a generous offer right now from Mr. Spartan, who has decided that at this point, enough damage has been done that we'll go ahead and hand the enemy our naval units. Okay. Giving the enemy your forces is the great equalizer, and with these Lampreys up and running, the strategic advanced torpedo launchers firing away in the background, and by the way, doing an absurd amount of damage as a static defense, it'll be pretty easy to reclaim all those boats or even resurrect them. As we have a little bit of a change of pace here. The Blue Commander going into a little bit of airplay. A whole bunch of these, what are they called? Paladins. Paladin cruisers have been built right here, and they're going to start marching forward as well, or sailing forward. Motoring forward. They don't really have sails, they have turbines. As they pedal power forward, the cruisers will start firing away with their little less awesome Gauss cannon right there. Firing a... You know, for having 3 barrels, they don't fire very quickly. Armada engineers definitely slacking in that regard here, but anyways, the the Paladin's firing away and taking out... yeah, all of this T1 composition, basically 0 casualties here. We do have a couple of wounded boats. Those destroyers putting in a little bit of work. The submarines firing away as well. These core submarines actually have tremendous range, which is kind of nice. It's larger than you might expect, but it won't really matter. The Paladins are tanky enough, and all these units stay up and running. We need a res sub to eat all that metal, of course, and I know I keep harping on it, but it really is how you stay in a naval game. A lot of folks seem very apprehensive to play naval games. It's because you're not reclaiming and resurrecting and repairing properly. That's I'll break it down for you, Mark. You just got to use those res subs. A Kraken long-range battle sub has been targeted for a while here, but it will actually survive. Man, those do damage. They are effectively the sniper of the seas, firing out just miles and miles away, but also doing a gigantic amount of damage. Loads of fighters available right here, and we are going into... Where'd those bombers go? I don't see them. We must have missed a bombing run because I don't see those bombers, and nothing appears all too dead over here. It does, however, look like the Tan base is in a lot of trouble. No anti-air here. My mind immediately goes to those Shuriken again. Can't help but wonder how on earth we're going to deal damage up this hillside, though. You can see those Gauss weapons can fire away quite nicely here. Fighters, not doing too terribly. Those T1 fighters don't trade very well against the T2, and the longer the longer the fighters are behind the other fighters, the better your trade is going to be. So that ended up being a wash right there for the Green Commander. All the Tan, or most of the Tan fighters, made it out of that alive. That fight was not supposed to go that well right there, but it did end up going in favor here of the Tank Commander, who just microed ever so slightly better. And now the gunships have the opportunity that they've been waiting for this entire game. And despite the donations, despite the generous, very generous donations right here from the blue team, the red team still hasn't reclaimed any of this and turned it into, I don't know, units or economy or even those T3 boats, the capital ships. That's just more production right here for the purple and the green commander. We have a little bit of eco-scaling as well, some fusion reactors coming up and running. We've got the very efficient T1 E-converters on the water. They're slightly more efficient than the land-based energy converters. That might not be true, actually. Oh yeah, they actually are not. They used to convert to 1.1 metal per second. Looks like they have since been redacted that ability. Here's some reclaim happening over here. We also have torpedo bombers trying their best. Torpedo bombers gonna struggle a lot on this map, actually. Yeah, the all the little islands and whatnot make for a really difficult obstacle for those torpedo bombers to fire away with. Torpedo bombers normally are quite oppressive. On maps like this, though, where you can take cover behind big mountains and stuff, torpedo bombers actually don't work at all. One of the better options is to go for those torpedo gunships out of the amphibious laboratory, but obviously that is a huge tech switch. Very difficult to make that happen. I am impressed with the holdout right here from the Pink Commander. Our Cyan Hero has, by the way, gone ahead and gone for all the metal extractors here. These are 8 metal per second. Meaning, yeah, that's a gigantic amount of metal going back here. Oh, there's some use for the bombers right there. Very nicely done. Those Cormorants dropping their light torpedoes, trying to take out whatever they can. commanders, anti-aircraft cannons. You name it, they're more than happy to drop that payload on it. Battlefields like this make me salivate. Thinking about that delicious bounty makes me immediately reach for res subs. This army is kind of pushed out of here. This was the pink force that has apparently thrown in the towel. Apparently couldn't handle the pressure, so had to get out of the kitchen here. The yellow commander, Max Chaos, will be in charge at this point here. We have a good number of Sheldon, as well as some of those Arbiter heavy rocket bots firing away here. Legion got their own rocket bot recently, by the way. I took a little look at that model. It looks super cool. It's kind of interesting, actually. It's a really interesting mix between, like, the Sharpshooter and the Arbiter, because it has tremendous range, but it fires missiles. But the missiles don't arc nearly as high as the Arbiters do. Essentially, what it means is it's like a long-range harassment tool rather than like a pinpoint structure targeter tool like the Arbiter and the Sharpshooter are. It also makes it extremely effective against Sheldon, which is just another thing that Legion is very good at countering on the Cortex chopping block. It is becoming prominent now that yeah, Legion is effectively the hard counter to Cortex, which I find funny. Cortex commanders must obviously find quite distressing. The more I look at this, the more it hurts. Yeah, why not? Why not 45,000 metal lying on the floor over here? Oh my goodness. I love this play from the blue commander, by the way. Just sending out a construction plane to go eat some of this, it really doesn't hurt. Like, the amount you're going to extract from this, it doesn't hurt the Navy players at this point. They've got those T2 economies. And the fact that anybody's reclaiming it, oh, well, there we go. Okay, yeah, I mean, with the Navy's pushing in, it seems an appropriate time here. Maybe a little early, but I think things were definitely going that way, and especially with this midsection under complete control and no plans to retake it. No T3 Marauders, no anything like that. It'll be the red team who take this, or pardon me, it'll be the blue team who take the victory in this extremely unconventional match beyond all reason. The red team winning all the awards, but the blue team taking the victory here. Yeah, I love watching these strange maps, but it is always a little bit of a brain teaser whenever watching these new players play. Hopefully somebody found it interesting, and hopefully somebody found it helpful, and hopefully you enjoyed. And I hope to see you again in the very next match of Beyond All Reason. Peace out, everybody.